Hello, good day. This morning, we continue on now with the 28th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Seems to me time is flying. Anyone who knows me knows that I love a magnificent meal, and for that reason, I love this verse that the Lord gets Isaiah to write. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will provide for all peoples a feast of rich food and choice wines, juicy rich food and pure choice wines. Really, that's a picture of heaven, how wonderful heaven will be. If you think to the times when things were just absolutely delightful to our senses. But beyond that, in a spiritual realm, far more delightful to be with the Lord in heaven. He will destroy death forever. The Lord God will wipe away the tears from every face. All pain and suffering will be taken away. It doesn't even exist as a possibility. Let us rejoice and be glad that He has saved us. We are His people who are on our way to heaven, to that salvation. However, on our way, we must be like Jesus and accept the cross. We have to always remember that. But nonetheless, on our way. Now, this gospel reading, Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 to 14, has some elements of what was in last week's gospel, but pitched in a different way. The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. This is a parable that at least I think is very transparent. The wedding feast is joining ourselves to his son Jesus as his believers, his followers, who give our lives totally over to him who gave his life totally over to us out of love for us. He dispatched his servants and invited guests to the feast, but they refused to come. The second time they refused. Some of them just simply went about their business. Other ones refused in a violent way. He's reflecting here on what happened amongst the Hebrews, once again, to the prophets that God sent, and now to what they're going to do to his son, to Jesus himself, who speaks this parable. The feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy to come. They were not worthy. They proved that they were not worthy, but not by not coming. Go out, therefore, into the main roads, and invite to the feast whomever you find. Here he's saying, the chosen people were invited, but they refused. At least a great number of them, the vast majority probably. Invite whomever you find, the Gentiles, the Goy of the world, all those other people who are not the chosen people. We are invited. Someone comes in and he doesn't have a wedding garment on. He attempts to come in the kingdom of heaven, but he doesn't sit down at the feast. He tries to come in on his own terms, not on God's terms. So he's rejected. In both cases, the people who do not accept God's invitation are dealt a severe blow. The first set, the king was enraged and sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. The guests that were first invited, and the second set. But the man who tried to enter without the wedding garment, bind his hands and feet Cast him into the darkness outside where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Those who do not accept the Lord's love on the Lord's terms, are dealt with severely. Because in fact, they have chosen to go their own way, not God's way. Outside of God's way, there is just horror and destruction. They have chosen that. Without fully realizing it, without seeing in the distance what happens, but nonetheless, they have chosen it. Many are invited, but few are chosen. Many, actually all are invited. But few are chosen. Actually, they've been invited. They did not choose to accept the invitation. Those who choose to accept the invitation, they are the ones who are chosen, because they chose to accept the Lord on his own terms. Dear Lord, you are precious to us. Help us to be obedient to you and to always say yes to you, whatever you want, whenever you want. God bless you all.